All right. So thank you, everybody. I do want to welcome you to our paint class tonight. And I want to thank Megan for giving me this opportunity to say a few words and to share you some caregiving tips. I will be putting in some links in the chat, and I'm also going to be putting in the link to our YouTube channel. We are recording the session, and the recording will be available in a few days. So if you want to just review the class or pick up some, review some tips, you'll be able to see it on the recording. So here at New Hampshire, AARP, we are focused on the health and the financial security and the social connections that are critical to the well-being of the 50 plus in the Granite State. And we carry out our work through targeted advocacy in the state and on federal levels with compelling engagements such as our event tonight, and also serving as a trusted resource for information for our members. So I want to welcome you to this virtual gathering. So whether you're a new caregiver or have been a caregiver for a long time, we do have resources that are available on our website at www.aarp.org/caregiving. So it is very important that caregivers take time to take care of themselves. And we're glad that you are here tonight and allowing yourself to take a break and enjoy a fun activity. So we do have, as I said before, we are recording this, and you can go to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/@AARPNH1. So have a good time tonight. And Megan, take it away.
Mary, thank you so much, as always. If this is anyone's first time joining our classes or attending an AARP New Hampshire event, they offer a tremendous amount of programming and resources for you. Many things, not only to support your caregiving journey, but also many other things that will support all those other things that come up in life. So I encourage you, as Mary is posting links in the chat, I encourage you to click on those links, have them open in your browser so you can look at all that stuff after our class. Mary and Ashley and the team at AARP New Hampshire are tremendous people, and they are here, just like myself, to support you in all the ways that we can. Now, I am leading our art class tonight, and it's such a pleasure to be here. I am based in Vermont, and I've been teaching art classes like this for over 8 or 9 years now. You lose track after a while. And one of my values and core principles of these classes is for you just to show up as you are, whether you've painted before or not, whether you're really taking this time for yourself today. And I applaud you for being here and showing up because you are going to be able to relax and unwind. These classes are designed for you to go at your own pace, but also for you to get new ideas and make choices as an artist along the way, because you're all officially artists tonight, by the way. These classes are always open to all skill levels and any one of ages. So if you are, with a friend, if you're by yourself, if you want to invite your granddaughter to participate who lives on the other side of the country, or an aunt or a neighbor, we encourage you to have them sign up and register and join us. We would love for you to enjoy these classes in the ways that mean the most to you. And that's what makes the most of the experience, right? Because you deserve it. You work really hard, and this is a tremendous break for you. So for the supplies tonight, I'm using acrylic paints. But as always, use any supplies you have at home, whether it's crayons or colored pencils, or if you've always been wanting to try watercolors. I keep these classes very open-ended, so you can follow along with our compositions and use any supplies. You don't need anything fancy. You can buy supplies online, Amazon, Blick.com. You can even pick up things at Walmart or Target, right? So anything works. The supplies that I'm using tonight is I have something to paint on. I'm painting on 11 by 14. This is canvas paper. It's kind of like a canvas board, but it's just a little thinner, like paper I can put into a frame. And then I have a small plate to mix my colors. I have some brushes, kind of small, medium, and large. These are basic craft acrylic brushes that I use all the time, and they work great. So you don't need anything fancy for today's class. I have a paper towel for any messes. I have a cup of water for rinsing my brushes, and I have acrylic paints. The paints that I always have for these classes are the primary colors of red, blue, and yellow. And I always have black and white just in case I want to darker to lighten something easily. Some people use black when they paint, some people don't, so it's your choice. I like to keep things simple. And then I always print out our inspiration for today's class. So today's picture is a little whimsical. We're doing something fairly straightforward. Sometimes we do sometimes harder things, sometimes more detailed. This is very whimsical and really fun. So it's going to be St. Patrick's Day or, a little lucky themed. I'm going to encourage you to use any animal that you wish of choice. And we'll go ahead and jump in and get started. In addition to your paints, I always have I'm going to put this up here for us. I always have a pencil handy. And the pencil will allow us to sketch our composition. Now, I'm going to use a pencil. I might outline it with a Sharpie if you can't see it. So we're going to sketch our pet first. And I am going to do a nice kitty cat right here in the middle. And I'm just going to start with, and if you're doing any animal, you can start with the nice oval size of the head. And this is going to be about the size of an orange. So I'm going to do a round head for the cat. And I will outline this with a Sharpie so you can see it. Maybe I'll do little triangles for the ears. And this is going to be a kitten. We'll see how this comes out. Triangles for the ears. And with a pencil, you can make adjustments as you go. Oh, you can see my little kitty cat. There we go. These ears are kind of wide, so I'm going to make them a little wider. And then it comes down around the side side of the head. So my ears are a little wider for this kitty cat. Okay, and they're a little rounded on top and they can come down. So take a few minutes to sketch the kitty cat. And I have a lot of extra lines here. So I'm just going to come in and erase. Use a pencil. And when you're using a pencil, and if you're not using a pencil, you can use like just any color. My cat's going to be orange, but you can do any color cat that you like. So if you have a calico cat or a gray cat, you could use any of those colors to fill it in. So I'm just erasing any extra lines. So I have a round, sort of round cat's head, a little oval-like. And then my cat's body is just going to be a short little neck. And then I'm going to just bring the cat's shoulders down. So neck and shoulders come out. And you can pretty much just go straight down. And I'll outline this with a Sharpie so you can see it. Cats are really funny because they come to life in all these crazy ways. Now, in these classes, I encourage you to have fun. Do not be too hard on yourself. My neck got a little, my head, okay. So then I have a little bit of a neck here. These are going to be my ears. And then I have the body here. Now, this is very whimsical. This is not going to look like a, like a realistic cat, right? Let me see. All right. So that's my cat. If I want it to be fun and put in a tail after, I can do that. But if you wanted to draw in, and I'll just sketch this in with a black marker. If you want to put in little triangles for the ears, we're going to be painting right within. So if you want to do little triangles within the ears, you can. Again, you're using a pencil, not a Sharpie like I am. And this cat has some really big eyes. So I'm just getting these items in place so I can just start painting when we're ready. Now the eyes are going to be kind of towards the middle of the head. If you put them too far on the outside of the head, they're going to look a little funny. So I'm doing, my eyes are kind of the size of nickels, but everybody's cats are going to be different sizes. If you're doing a dog or if you're doing anything else, that's fine. But we're just doing a little sketching up front. And I'm going to have just a little kind of kitty nose right here. A little upside down rounded triangle. And I'll do my whiskers and all that after. So my cat looks pretty weird and creepy right now because it is just a sketch. If I wanted to make my cat wider, a little bigger, I could. If I wanted to bring the chin up, I could bring my chin up a little bit. If I wanted to make my neck a little wider, I could make my neck a little wider. Again, I am using a Sharpie, but it's okay. I'm not afraid of making modifications because I can always paint over things. It's no big deal. So I can just reshape things. I love to demonstrate a little bit of courage and bravery in some of these classes, just to demonstrate it's okay to not always know what you're doing. My cat definitely needs to be a little wider. This cat is way too skinny. I'm gonna make him a little wider. There we go. My cat needed to be a little more healthy. And this is a great demonstration on how the shape of an animal can change and evolve. No, I like how my eyes are nice and big. I'm going to be brave and outline those with a Sharpie. Again, don't do the Sharpie at home. I'm just illustrating the lines for you. Okay. And Mary did put in some of the resources. So everybody take a minute to click on those resources that Mary shared so you don't forget about them. Okay. So once you have your cat sketched in, you're going to paint the entire background green. I am going to do a little bit of light, gentle erasing on lines I'm not using anymore. I do suggest this, based on the quality of paints you're using, the pencil lines may shine through. So if you have any dark pencil lines, I encourage you to do a soft erase on any pencil lines so you can still see them at home, but they're light enough so you can put paint on top of them. You can always do, 2 or 3 coats of paint, but sometimes it makes sense to um, erase some of the lines now as a soft erase. So I'm just erasing some of those extra lines. It's a little bit of a cleanup process now. So when you start painting, things make a little more sense. So if anyone's new to these classes, one of the things that I love talking about and I love encouraging you to do is to make this painting your own. Your painting does not have to look like mine, right? Right now it looks like kind of a strange cat-like figure. It will come to life, I promise. Embrace my trust here. If you're new here, you don't know that, but if you have been to my classes, you know to embrace the process. Something will look cool here at the end of the day. But we're going to mix a green for our background as our next step. And we're going to paint everything around the cat green. So once you're done your sketching, and to make green, it is yellow and a little bit of blue. So there's my yellow paint there. And you don't need a fancy palette like this. This is just what I happen to have for tonight. And I'm just putting a little bit of blue on my plate so I can kind of manage. And let's see, there was a request for the link or to the photo. Let me see if I can grab that really quick. I can. Let me just save this and I'll upload the visual to the
I was going to grab it also,
Oh,
Megan. So
Ashley,
if you
thank you
need to
so
keep
much.
painting, don't worry about it.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate you. All right. So we're going to make a green for the background, and this green is going to be a darker green of your choice. So I'm going to show you the inspiration over here, and you'll get where I'm going with this. So see how there is a darker green in the background, and there's these lighter colored clovers. Now, I'm going to go for this like mid-tone green, and I'm going to have lighter clovers tucked in, okay? So just know that we're mixing this darker color green and we're going to use another lighter green, okay? So just keep that in mind. If you wanted to do the opposite, like do a lighter background with darker clovers, that's totally fine too. Again, as an artist, you get to make those choices and that's totally fine. So what I did is I just took a little bit of my blue and I put it right in my yellow. Being brave here. And to manage this color of green, you can just add a little bit more blue to your green. And that will allow you to control that color and tone of green, which is really fun. So always in these classes, I encourage you to, one, always go at your own pace, but mix the colors that you like. Take an extra minute or two to find a color that you like. I might make this a little bit more bluish green because I can. I love mixing blue and green together because there's so many beautiful shades and tones. Oh, it's so awesome. That's pretty. I might add a little bit more blue. Now the blue I'm using is like a sky blue. It's not like a phthalo, it's kind of a sky blue. So it's going to kind of give me a little bit of a gray tinge, which is really pretty. There we go. And then I'm going to have some fun. Now I could just paint this whole background blue, or I mean green, and just like regular brush strokes, like left, right, or you can have fun and you can give it a little bit of texture. Your goal is to fill in the background any way that you want. You can be messy like I am because it's all going to look the same at the end. You can do left, right. You could do smooth horizontal brush strokes. You could dip your brush in a little bit of water and see what that does. Move the paint around. But find one way, and I'm going to do a nice gentle line around my kitty cat. I want you to fill in the background around the kitty cat, around your animal. This is where you can take a deep breath and you can settle into the process. Sometimes we paint whimsical things. Sometimes it's fun to paint things that are not so serious, right? Where we can be a little more gentle and kind to ourselves. It's really nice to kind of take that weight off of our shoulders and just paint something for fun, right? And this is one of those inspirations. We're doing this for fun. We're doing this for a little bit of, art therapy-esque to relax. And I'm doing vertical brush strokes. That seems to be working out for me today. You could do horizontal. Just pick one method and kind of see what works for you. Maybe I'll do some horizontal up here. I'm just doing a regular green background. And we're going to do this pretty quickly. So try to paint this background. No, you can't really mess anything up, but we want this whole background to dry before we put all those clovers on it. And don't worry if it's a little patchy in areas. We're going to be putting some clovers on top, so no big deal. And I didn't use a ton of water in this class. I usually experiment a lot with water in our art classes. And tonight I'm just using a lot of paint, so I'll probably have to mix some more. So if anybody is running out of paint, don't worry. Anyway, you want to fill in this background. If you want to add multiple green colors, if you want to add a rainbow in the background, feel free to do that. I can also add a rainbow in after as well, but this is your background. So I'm keeping it very simple for tonight. I'm going nice and slow. I'm using one of my bigger brushes. I'm going right around the edge of my kitty cat. And I do have a couple black lines I'll cover up with some white. I have a Sharpie, so I made a couple adjustments. No one else should have that problem because I should have been the only one using a Sharpie here tonight. But this is such a beautiful and fun inspiration. It's going to be very uplifting. Our pet is going to come to life. If anybody's never painted an animal before, oh my goodness, hold on to your hats. Animals are so fun. If anybody wants to paint like a little hat or like a little St. Patrick's Day like leprechaun hat on your cat, oh my gosh. Or like a pair of sunglasses. This is where art can be really fun. If you have an idea, maybe you'll put some St. Patrick's Day beads around your cat's neck. This is where you can have fun and just, it doesn't matter. Like we're all enjoying the experience. Think outside the box. Any ways you want to further to personalize your artwork, I encourage you to do that. And I ran out of paint. I need just a little bit more. So I'm going to make, I think I have maybe just enough. If I put a little water on my brush, I might be able to spread it out. So take your time, fill in the entire background. That is your goal right now. And if you have any wet spots, you can do some long, smooth brush strokes, whether horizontal or vertical. Try to fill in all those nooks and crannies. And my cat has come to life. You can see where I made my cat a little bit wider. See where its neck, I made him a little wider. It's a boy, apparently. I'm going to use my my white paint just to paint over some of these black lines. So if anybody, and none of you should have black lines like me, but I'm just doing a little cleanup work. So when I paint my cat orange, I won't see these other lines because the orange paint will go right on top. So white paint is a great way or a great eraser tool to kind of cover up lines. Any other background colors, it's a great way just to kind of reshape an object. So if anybody wants to reshape your cat, you can add a little bit of white, like I'm doing, to kind of push lines from the inside out, or you can use your green to reshape the outside too. So it's just good to know kind of what all your tricks are up your sleeve so you can make kind of changes, especially as you're doing your compositional work. You can see how those lines, you can still see them, but that helped tremendously. And I made big kitty eyes. We'll see if it's going to be devilish looking or if it's going to be a sweet, sincere cat. Or it could be a little crazy, you know? Eyes do a lot for animals. They do a lot. All right. So the goal of this step is for everybody to paint their background green. And mine isn't perfect, but it's a really good start. So all good there. And then the next step is you can paint the base coat of your animal, any color that you wish. So I am going to do orange for my cat. So everyone has, and take your time if you're still painting your background. There's no rush. My background has some splotchy areas. I'm not worried about it too much. I can always go back in and, you know, smoothen things out. I'm not worried about it looking perfect right now. It's just sometimes with art, you do a layer and you move on to another area and then you come back to it. It's kind of the evolution. It's really fun once you embrace it. So don't feel nervous if something looks undone. I like talking about it because when I first started painting, I felt very nervous in classes that something wasn't finished. And it's one of those things that if the artist, if you know of that as an artist, then you'll feel a little bit more at ease. So I'm going to make an orange for my cat and I'm going to fill in my cat. So this is a fairly straightforward class tonight. To make orange, if some of you might have orange color in like a craft set you have, I like to mix so I can show you that you can mix along the way. You don't have to have everything fancy and set for you. But I want you to find a color orange that you like, which is another important part of this process. So to mix orange, if you don't have it, it is yellow with a little bit of red. And I try to keep it all together. Oh, that's a nice color. It's on the dark side, but I'm okay with that. Always mix your paints well. And then I'm going to paint my entire cat this orange. Now, if you start painting your animal, if you have a gray cat or a black and white cat, oh, black and white cat would be so cute. Use a brush that makes sense for you. You're going to leave those little triangles open. Those are going to be pink for me. And I'm using that big brush, but if you need to downsize, use a brush that works for you. And go nice and slow. You're going to go around your nose. That nose was an upside down triangle, and that was a little rounded. This cat is very orange. I may lighten it a little bit, which is fine. You know what I could do? That'd be so cute. I could make it one of those calico orange cats that have like, they're like light orange and dark orange. Wouldn't that be adorable? So this is the funny things about these classes, that you come up with ideas along the way. Watch this. I'm going to have a little fun tonight. Okay, friends? Hold on to your hats. I'm gonna do one of those cats that have like the mix, like half on one side, half on the other. But the goal is to find colors that you like. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna do a little patch over here. So have fun with your pet. You may be painting your dog or cat. Your dog or cat may have a white spot on its nose, right? You all know your pets. My cat, Kokomo, who is gray, she has white eyeliner, and it's so much fun drawing that white eyeliner. So whatever pets you're doing, use the colors that you wish for these basic areas. And it's going to look a little funny until I'm done. So I just embrace the process here. Here we go. And I could put a little orange maybe over here. And with oranges, sometimes you need a second coat. So just kind of embrace it for what it's at right now. And I'm just going to paint the entire body. Maybe I'll do a little bit of mix of this and that. I am going to put some stripes and details on the cat. So don't worry too much. We're just doing a nice basic coat right now. And it's important that we do this basic coat because we're going to be painting on top of the cat. We're going to be putting clovers behind the cat and in the foreground. So a big brush comes in handy because I can do long, smooth brush strokes. So if you're doing a gray cat or a black dog, doing a nice solid base colors, and then you can add all those stripes and all those fun details on after, or you could add them on now. It's totally up to you. But I'm doing nice base coats first. But in art, you always have a choice on how you want to paint things. And I do things differently than, than other people. And other people do different things, than me and vice versa. And it's okay that we all think and do things differently. So if you have a different process tonight on how you want to fill in your cat, I encourage you to embrace your own process. You will not hurt my feelings. I'm here to facilitate and support you along the way. And I'm just so glad that you all are here. I do want to say, without the support of AARP New Hampshire, we would not be here tonight. So if we can all just give them some love. Thank you so much, AARP New Hampshire, for supporting this creative experience for our friends here. It means a lot to take a break and to create. And I know many of you love these classes, but for anyone new, it's a wonderful time where we can just relax and try something new. All right. And again, I encourage you to follow and subscribe to their YouTube channel. They have a lot of tremendous recordings available, not only my art classes, but many other things as well. And then they have a variety of other resources, caregiving and beyond. It's a wonderful group of people. Okay, I have a very orange cat. I'm gonna add stripes. It looks like a very orange cat, and that is totally fine right now. We will paint the ears pink. And we'll do the eyes. We'll do the eyes. We're gonna let everything dry first, but paint your animal the base color first, and then we're gonna let it dry before we do the pink in the eyes. I promise. All right. Looks like a demon cat with white eyes, you guys. Okay. So take a minute to finish painting. Again, base colors. And maybe I'll use a smaller brush just to kind of get nice and clean on the ears. So it's okay to switch brushes along the way to get in those small ear areas, making sure you go nice and cleanly around the eyes, on the side of the neck. So don't hesitate to switch brushes if you need to. Artists typically use the brush that makes the most sense for them. Okay. So it is painted in. If you need to change the size of the eyes or nose, you can always do that in our next step. So I encourage you to get this base layer painted. And our goal was, as we were painting in the cat or our animal, was to let the background dry so we can do some of our clovers. Now, this is your painting. So if you want to do a rainbow, if you want to do, a big rainbow behind the cat, if you want to do a rainbow with clovers, whatever you want to do in the background behind the cat, I'm going to have you sketch it. So my orange cat is drying, and I'm going to use my pencil and I'm going to draw in clovers. Now I'm going to teach you how to draw clovers. I'm going to do it with my pencil first, and then I'm going to do it with my Sharpie so you can see it. Now my clovers are going to be a little tilted, and the way you start with a clover is a heart, which is great. So I'm going to start with a clover up here in this corner, and I'll bring this down for you. And I'm going to do it tilted a little bit this way. And I'm just going to draw a heart. It's really 3 hearts connected. So you can there's a heart right there. I'm going to turn it in a minute. I'm going to do a Sharpie in a minute so you can see it. So it's 3 hearts, and I'm going to draw them with a pencil, and then I will use a Sharpie to show you the detail. All right. So you do the first heart here, and then I turned it and I do another heart here. 3 hearts. 1, 2, 3. See that? And then you can kind of connect them all down and together. And then you draw a stem that's going to go right back behind your animal. Just like that. So that's 1 clover. I'm going to do another one over here. I'm just going to freehand it because I love to be spontaneous. You can do them big or small. This one's going to be bigger. I'm just going to be a little crazy here. There's 1 heart. So you can do big clovers or little clovers. I love demonstrating just to try to relax. You're using pencils as well. So heart, heart, heart. That's a big one, right? I kind of bring them on all in so they touch. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a stem right behind my cat. If I want to make these hearts a little bit bigger, again, I'm using a Sharpie. I can fill in the edges of the hearts if I want to make it look a little more fill in a little bit. See, I made it look a little bit bigger. So I'm going to focus on, everybody's doing different size clovers. If you do 20 clovers, it's going to take you a little longer to paint, right? So I want you to play with, maybe target 5 or 6 clovers in this layer. And I'm going to I'll do all different sizes. So there's 1 heart. And I'm just using my free hand with a Sharpie. Wish me luck, friends. And they're all going to have a stem. So I'm going to do another one over here. And I'm turning them a little bit. So it's like these clovers are kind of blowing in the wind. And I can always put in some smaller ones too. So your clovers can be any size that you wish. And then this stem might just flutter off this way. Can have a little bit of a bend to it. I might just do one more little one down here. They're not very little, are they? So 3 little hearts. It's the easiest way to make clovers. They're not perfect. Let's do another little one down here. And then we're going to layer some more clovers in after, but we're letting our cat dry. and I'm just having fun. And I'll fix my clovers, right? You all are doing this with a pencil. I'm using a Sharpie so you can see my lines. Now we're gonna layer more clovers in after, but these are the base clovers. So once you have your base clovers drawn, who can guess what we do next? And I have a question here. Did you use a black around the head? I'm not using black around the head. No. And Lisa says it's Garfield the cat. Yeah. How to make him look furry. You can add some texture as a secondary layer for our furry cat. So it's the base background color of the animal, and then we can add the fur, and we're going to add stripes and things. But now once we have those clovers drawn, we're going to do lighter green clovers. So I'm going to gently put this down, and I'm going to mix a lighter green. And we just do things in layers, and we just take our time and enjoy the process. So you may want a little bit of white to lighten up. So I have a little bit of yellow, and I'm going to find a brush that works for me. It's not too big, not too little. So I want a lighter green. So I want to do yellow and blue again. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. So if you want it to be more of a yellowy green, you can add more yellow, right? If you want it to be a lighter sage style green, you add a little bit of white. So you get to choose what you want this color to be. I think mine needs to be pretty light, to be honest. So I'm going to add, I want there to be contrast. So contrast is like the light and the dark to the eye. That looks like a pretty nice lighter color. And then I'm just going to paint these in. So very nice and simply, you all have pencil. I have Sharpie. I'm going to outline my hearts like so. And I'm just going to paint them in. So that's why we took the time to use a pencil to do a little sketching so we can kind of unwind and relax as we fill things in. It kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off. And I want to say sketching and drawing can be hard, especially if you don't do it all the time. So I acknowledge that. So I applaud you all just slowing down to sketch for a few minutes before. And you're going to rinse and repeat. And we're just going to, and you might need a second coat on some of these. My paints are not the highest quality paints. Your paint may be a little thicker. If your paint is thicker and you don't see brush strokes, then you may be fine and you may not need a secondary coat. But just do one coat and let it dry. And then the second coat will easily cover things, any brush strokes up. So if you see brush strokes as you're painting right now, my yellow, it's a little bit of a thin yellow, so I can see it's making my paint look a little streaky, which is okay. My blue paint is a higher quality paint, so we all typically have, if we collect paints here and there from different places, we might be using different types of paints, and that's okay. But take a couple deep breaths. You can inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Gets the oxygen flowing. Sometimes we hold our breath when we paint. And it's important that we breathe. Now, if you made yourself a cup of tea or if you have a glass of water next to you, feel free to take a break and hydrate as needed. So my brush strokes are a little streaky, and that's okay. I'm just going to let those dry. Our goal is to fill in all of these clovers together. And we're letting our cat dry. We will add more detail to our cat after. But we're filling in those 3 basic hearts of a clover. Now, some of you may be inspired to add gold. You may be inspired to add a rainbow. You may be inspired to add a cloud in the sky. This is your artwork, so I encourage you to think outside the box. You may want to put like a pesky leprechaun peeking his head in on the side, right? Art is really fun because you can make those choices. You can also always join these classes and just follow along with me. That's always okay too. But you can see how this color is a nice contrast to the background. And it's okay just to be in the moment. It's okay for there to be quiet and silence. It's kind of nice, isn't it? So just take your time, use any size brush that works for you. And we always paint different things. Sometimes we paint whimsical things like this. Sometimes we paint landscapes. I encourage you to register and sign up for our next class. We always do something a little bit different. I would love to see you again. I hope everybody's having a nice time. If there's any questions ever throughout class, I encourage you to use the chat. We will keep an eye on the chat and answer those for you. Ooh, how about one lucky 4-leaf clover? Ooh, I love that. Maybe we'll put one on top. That's a terrific idea, Linda. Look at this. Linda's creative gears are going. If anybody wants to use the chat and share any details that you have incorporated on yours, you may inspire someone else, just like Linda, by adding a 4-leaf clover. I love that. Great idea. I could put a 4-leaf clover on my kitty, like on the foreground, because we're going to put clovers in the foreground too, on top of our cat, once our details are done. Isn't that fun? So my clovers, I can see my black lines through. You guys may or not be able to see those from, your seat at home. But I will do another second coat of green in between as things dry. What you can do also with the green from these clovers is my cat has green eyes. So I'm going to use this green on the inside of the eyes. I'm going to paint the whole eye green and I'll add the black pupil after. So if anybody is interested in adding green eyes for your cat, I'm going to use the same color. So I'm going to do a nice base coat here and I'm going to let this dry. And then I'll do my black pupil on top of this. So my cat's eyes are going to match the clovers behind him. Now it looks even more demon-like. That's okay. I don't overthink this. We just embrace the process here. All right. So again, if anybody's clovers are drying and you want to go just do a quick second coat, you can. If you're still painting your clovers, that's fine too. Sometimes in these classes where we do things a little differently or you have different paces based on details you add may be different than mine. So always just go in your own workflow. You're not going to miss anything, I promise. And sometimes the really thick paint takes a minute to dry, so you can always come back to it and do a second coat after if you wish. And Ashley did post the registration for our next class. So if anybody would like to join our next class, I encourage you to join. And I'll even give you a little sneak peek. Let me see here. What's our next inspiration? Cancel. Let's see. It might be the lizard. Let me see. April. Yeah, I'll have to follow back up. All right. Nice and smooth. Nice and smooth lines. So we're just doing a nice base coat for those areas. Now, if you want to add more smaller clovers in or other items, you're welcome to do that at any time, but we're going to let those clovers dry. if your cat's eyes, we're gonna paint, since our cat is dry now, we can go back to our cat. My cat is very orange, but I'm gonna add some lighter orange stripes to my cat. So I'm gonna wash my brush. You're welcome to use like multiple brushes in these classes, but I'm gonna let my clovers dry. They're not done, but they're at least painted with a nice single coat. And this is where we're gonna go and work on some of the details of our cat. Now I'm going to keep this cat very straightforward and basic. And I am going to use the ears. Inside the ears are going to be pink and the nose will be pink. So if anybody wants to mix, white and red with me, you can make a little bit of a pink nose and a white nose. If you are doing a different animal with a different colored nose or ears, you may improvise and paint those anything you wish. But I'm just going to put a little bit of white paint and red paint on my plate. And I'm going to use a small brush of choice to be able to stay in the lines to paint these areas. So I'm going to take a little bit of the white and a tiny touch of the red, and I'm going to make a pink. You don't need very much. This is like the size of like a dime. Like you don't need a lot of paint for this part because I'm only using pink for the eyes and the nose, or sorry, for the nose and the ears. But always take a minute. This is a bubblegum pink. Take a minute to mix those colors so you're happy with whatever colors you're mixing. I always love the cats that always had, some of you may be dog people. That's always fine too. But the cute little pink noses or the cute little kitten paw pads, the little buttons on their toes. So cute. All right. I actually had an orange and white cat. Her name was Pixel, and she had cute little pink toes, if I recall. She passed away, but yeah. So I'm doing a little nose. I may want to lighten this up, but for right now, this is fine. Can always take a little bit of white and mix it in. It's okay to change your mind on colors. I could bring in a little bit of a lighter pink. I might do a little bit of a lighter pink just to have it stand out from my dark orange cat. So if you have a darker animal like mine, I'm just doing the pink a little lighter. But so if you are doing like a black cat, you could do like a lighter gray ear kind of thing. So it's up to you. You can determine the contrast and the different areas of where you paint. But the lighter pink worked out great. And I'm just going to let that dry. Clean off my brush. Whenever I'm not using my brushes, I always clean them off in my water cup. And if your water's dirty, I get this question a lot. Should I change my water if my water's dirty? And you don't need to change your water unless it bothers you, but it will be okay. I promise. I'm just cleaning up my brushes really well. Sometimes I like wipe them on the paper towel next to me just to kind of like manage one that there's no more paint on them, but I can see the tips so I have better understanding of what to use and where. Okay. So I am going to grab a black for the eyes as the next step. If you wanted to use a different color, you could. Absolutely. You could use blue, you could mix multiple colors around. I'm just using black for simplicity's sake. And if your eyes are dry and you wanted to do a little bit of sketching, I'm going to show you what it looks like to draw the cat's eye. So I'm going to use a Sharpie for demonstration purposes, and I'll zoom this down so you can see it better. So I painted the eyes green, and I'm going to do a black oval pupil in the middle, and it's going to be kind of towards the top side of the eye. And then there's like a black kind of, I want to say an eyebrow on the top, but that's a little bit of the eye there. And I want them to be as round as possible on the bottom. So then I'm going to do the same thing over here. And that will at least give me a little bit of structure. So I'm using my Sharpie. In this case, you're going to be using a pencil to control how big your eye may be. You're going to start to see your cat come to life. You can kind of control and manage the situation a little bit. So I'm going to reshape my eyes a little bit with my tip of my brush, but at least you can see my eyes now. They're not perfect, but they are enough to get me going. And then you can just use some black paint to fill in the pupil, and we'll do a white touch as well. But you're going to use your black paint. You're going to use the black paint to fill in your eye. And then it has like, for me, and you don't have to do this on your animal if you don't want to, but there's like a little bit of like a line on the top side of the eye. It's kind of like this shade under the eye, like under, kind of under the top of the eye. So it adds a little bit more groundedness to the top of the eye. I kept this is spaced off of the sides, so there's spacing on the bottom. And if you paint something you don't like, just know you can always paint over it. That's the nice luxury of acrylic paints, is you can let something dry and paint right over it. It's terrific. So you can see my cat's coming to life a little bit. Doesn't look too angry. That's terrific. My cat's also not going to have a mouth. I'm just going to add whiskers. If you want to add a mouth to your pet, you may. And I'm going to do my whiskers with a pencil. So I get them in the right spots. And then let's see, my whiskers are right about, and I might even need to move my mouth up. So let me just do like a 1, 2, 3. Well, this would be all right. 1, 2, 3. So it's 3 whiskers on either side. I might make my nose a little bit of an adjustment here. I'm going to use my paintbrush for my whiskers. You could always use a Sharpie if you wanted to, but I'm just going to use the pinky of my hand to stabilize my hand and the tip of a small brush to do 3 little whiskers. And I'm not aiming for perfection. This is all for fun. So just take a big deep breath. Your cat may have a little bit of a personality happening here. Mine looks a little snarky. So I'm doing 3 whiskers on either side. Feel free to turn and rotate your canvas if you need to. I'm a lefty, so I turned a little bit here. I kind of walked around my canvas so your view doesn't change. But if you're at home, you can just spin your canvas on your table. That works great. My cat will look a little nicer once I add that white dot in its eye. Right now it looks like it's Garfield and he's a little hungry. Mary Ann's cat has become an owl. Ooh. Maybe you want to embrace your owl, Mary Ann. Maybe you have to put a cat's tail in behind. Maybe that will help. An owl's pretty fun. Maybe play with the pupil eye shape. Maybe that will help. It's very interesting always, friends, to see what happens with pets in our classes. Now I'm going to clean off the black on my brush. And I will do a white pupil. And I'm going to do my white pupil, my white dot in the black pupil area in a very particular spot. Now you can play with where you may want to add yours. But in this inspiration, I'm going to do it on the right side of the black circular area. And I'm going to use the round end of my brush and some white paint just to do a dot. Now, I was sure of it, I was going to have a kitten, and I definitely have like a teenage cat. I do not have a kitten happening here tonight. But see how I put two little dots there on the right side of that black pupil, and that brought it to life. It's a little got a little curious. That's good. That's good. All right. So play with your pet. Did anyone do anything different than a cat? Was there anybody doing a dog or any other animals? I would love to know. Use the chat if you're able to share. If you're not able to share, it's no big deal. But this is where I want you to play with the pink ears. I want you to be happy with your ears. I want you to be happy with your eyes. And there's plenty of time, so take your time with these steps and these details. Ooh, how to add a tail. I am happy to add a tail. Absolutely. And I'm just going to add a little bit more pink to my nose. So my nose needs to be a little bit whiter. So a little bit more of a lighter pink because it's not standing out enough for me. So I'm just going to do a little bit. And if you ever need to reshape your cat's eyes with a little bit of the orange, a little bit of the background color of your pet, that is how you can reshape your animal. Your animal's eyes, their face, their ears, whatever. So to do a tail, your tail can come up and curl. It could just come up on the side. So pick a side for your tail. I'll do my tail over here and I'll zoom out a little bit. Oh, I love this. Catherine is painting her three-legged cat, Nubby. He is gray and very stripy. I love that. I'm just going to do a tail over here. He's just going to come out from this side. And I'm just going to do a single line up and it's going to just round. That might be too skinny, but let me see. I'm gonna make it a little more thick down here towards the bottom. I guess cat's scales are pretty skinny. Okay, that might be okay. I'm gonna outline this with a Sharpie so everybody can see it. This is not my best tail, but I am living my life vicariously here tonight. Let's see. I think it'll be just fine. And this has like a little bit of a wave to it, and it's gonna go right behind the cat. So here, there. I think that's a fine tail. If you want it to come down a little further, usually cats' tails are pretty precarious. If you don't want yours coming up that high, you don't have to. But I'm gonna mix an orange and I will paint my tail so it all matches and it's all the same. So I'm gonna take a moment to do that. I'm gonna use a bigger brush so it doesn't take me 4 hours to paint my tail. When you're painting bigger areas, using a bigger brush will allow you to do things a little more quickly. Kay Moy said she's painting her dog with a little green bow tie. That is amazing. I love that so much. I love doing bow ties with like little spots on them, Kay. That's awesome. It's such a fun idea. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm going to add a little, since I'm painting a tail on top of green, I'm going to mix a little bit of white with my orange. It will help it cover up the background color of green. I can always do a second color on top. So I'm going to do a single coat, and look, it's a little lighter on my tail because I'm covering up that green background. So I'm okay with that. I'm going to go in and paint more orange on it after. So don't worry if you're painting over your whiskers, you can always touch up your whiskers too. That's no big deal. But we're going to add, you can add any detail you wish for your cat now, the stripes and things. I'll do that in just a moment. So there's the tail. Mine was pretty big. I just embraced it here. And I'm going to add orange on top after. So I'm going to let my tail dry. And then I'll do a second coat on that. Okay. So with your tail, you have to be a little patient. Do one coat, don't touch it, and then come back. But I am going to do stripes on my cat, and I'm going to do lighter orange stripes I'm gonna do very simple stripes like the inspiration. So I need to make a little bit more orange, and I'm gonna do a lighter color orange. I always love like those cute calico cats with those spots. I could do calico cat and mix it up tonight. It's so funny. And I love making these decisions in the moment with you because that's what it's like, being an artist. It's about you can do the things that you like to do, right? And some of you are adding those bow ties. You have the black cats with the white spots. You're embracing all those really cool ideas. And I applaud you for that. That's exactly why we're here. But I'm mixing a spot or stripe color on my palette. I need it to be lighter or darker than my base cat color. So I'm going for lighter, and I'm going to add a little more yellow because I need it. Just a little bit. And the trick of mixing colors is you add a little more white, you add a little more yellow, you add a little more red, just a little bit at a time will allow those colors to really happen for you. And this is a nice kind of orange sherbet color, which is kind of fun. Happy little accident there. Adding a little yellow gave me an orange sherbet color. That was kind of nice. Now I could do straight stripes. I'll keep it simple tonight. I'll do the straight stripes. And then if anybody wants to do the funky calico, they can. But I'm just going to do a couple of straight stripes. So I'm going to do 2 on the forehead. And this is a square tip brush, but I'm going to keep this very simple. I'm going to do a stripe there, and it's going to kind of turn with the head. And I might need to make this a little lighter. So I'll zoom down. I'm going to make this a little bit lighter. See how you can see the stripes on the head? I'm going to add a little bit more white so it stands out a little bit more. So as you can see, I made an adjustment. I wanted my color to be a little lighter. So I'm adding a little more white, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a choice that I made to pause as I was painting. And these are the things that you learn and you practice. And I like talking about them. It kind of normalizes the fact that your artwork can change, and it's okay to change your mind as you paint. It's a really fun and liberating part of the process. So I'm just going to paint right over what I just did. And I'll probably need to do a second coat. And I'm just going to add little stripes, and I'm doing a little bit of paint management. I'm kind of managing how much paint is on this brush. I'm going to do another stripe here. And I'm going to probably have to go over my whiskers. I got a little excited with my whiskers. I'm going to do a stripe on the face here and here. I'll go over my whiskers again. That's no big deal. But I'm going to add a stripe here. So I'm being very basic lines tonight. I could do something far more complicated. I'm just doing easy stuff tonight. There we go. And those whiskers will be just fine. I'll paint over those. And then I'm just going to do really simple stripes on the body. So I could just do a stripe here, a stripe here. For any beginners, this is a really easy choice to do tonight. And it's still going to look really cute. So it doesn't matter if you do something that's really easy or if you add spots. I could even add a little bow tie to this cat or a necklace or anything like that, So there are some stripes to the cat. Very simple for tonight. It's kind of fun to do simple things sometimes. We don't always need to do complex things. We will do a little bit of outlining and detail work, but I did really basic stripes. If anybody wants to add hair, you could add texture. And I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to go over my whiskers again in a minute. Once the paint dries. If anybody added a tail, my tail is now dry, so I can do a second coat of paint. on my tail. And I usually use a lot of water in these classes, but I'm not using a ton of water tonight because I want these nice, thick, solid colors. This tail has a little bit of red in it, so it looks a little different, but that's okay. Can always touch that up if I need to. And my tail looks shiny. It's because it's wet and I have a light down. But I'm going to zoom this back up for you. I'll zoom this forward there. So you can see my cat has really come to life. It's so cute. I did very simple on the body. We're gonna do a little bit of outlining as well. So I'm just gonna make sure my tail is the right color. So I'm just gonna take a minute to do that. So I need to make that orange again. So everybody's working on different steps. You're all doing tremendous. I hope you're having so much fun. I'm so glad everybody's here with us tonight. I'm gonna take a little bit of the red. And there are more details I'm gonna be going over. So hang tight. More details to come. I'm just mixing more of this orange. Okay. While my cat is drying, if anybody needs to go in and do any touch-ups on these clovers, it's a really good time to do that. So letting our cat dry is a really important thing so we can put clovers on top of our cat. Now, if you don't want to put clovers on top of your cat, you don't have to. I'm going to, which means I'm going to be very intentional to let my cat dry and to not touch it. So I can put the clovers on top. It's just accent detailed clovers. Somebody was talking about doing a four-leaf clover. I think it'd be so cute if I put a four-leaf clover in the middle on top of the cat, like it's a lucky cat. So I'm using this light green, and I'll zoom out here in a minute. Let's see. So I'm just doing a second coat on all of my clovers. There we go. Bring this down for you. See how the difference of a second coat on a clover is? It's like a big difference. So that's why we embrace the process of knowing that we have to go back and add in a second coat, especially when you're painting a green on a green. We could have painted these clovers and drawn them out initially and not painted it on top of another color. And that's just a choice, right? There's always different ways to paint. We could have sketched them out and went around them. And if anyone's ever painting on their own, just know you can make those choices. It's no big deal. It's really fun and liberating to be carefree when you paint, but you have to practice that. It comes with practice and patience. And I've had so many people laugh because it's really hard to slow down and get out of your own head when you paint. But in these classes, I remind you to embrace that, like that reflective mindfulness of just slowing down and enjoying this time for you and pacing your way where it makes sense. Thinking about the details that make sense for you and then just letting go of everything else and just seeing what happens. And some of you had some really fun ideas, like putting bow ties on your animals and, putting a hat on, all these different things. An animal came to you, right? That's the fun thing when you can let go and just have fun. Paint a silly cat. Will bring you a little joy to know that you let go during this painting. Because most of the time, art isn't just about the end product, it's about the process, how you felt doing it, how it was relaxing for you, how you laughed at the way the eyes came out, right? All those things bring a little bit of joy. And I don't have a crazy cat. My cat looks pretty tame. Those white dots really help quite a bit. And the shape of the eye really helps too. I may or may not have painted the chicken earlier and it was pretty boring looking. So we'll see what happens with that chicken. But take your time. I'm doing a second coat on these clovers and I'm letting my cat dry intentionally. I am not touching it. Okay. Now, if you want to have fun, my cat is still wet. Once my cat is dry, I am going to add in a clover or two. If you want to, what was I going to say? Oh, um, if you want to have fun and add any more smaller details, like I might add another little clover up here, like a little one kind of tucked in some of these empty spaces. I might tuck in a couple of small clovers just because I'm killing time for one, and I think it'd be really cute just to tuck in a couple small clovers. So I'm using my pencil and I'm just sketching a couple of small clovers. And I'm just going to go in and paint them. You may be happy with your composition and you may not want to do more. That's another choice, right? Of being an artist in today's class. You may be happy with what you have. So I like to talk about those choices so you don't feel overwhelmed like you have to do more because you don't if you don't want to. And I'll always talk about those options that you can think about as an artist when you join our classes. Now, if you're waiting for your paint to dry, this is a great time to check out those links from Mary and Ashley. To at least click on them, open them up. You can check out their YouTube page. Look, I did a cute little clover at the top. Isn't that so cute? I did 3 little clovers I'm tucking in. I gotta find them. I did them in pencil. They're all hidden. Here we go. Here's one. But clicking on those links while you're waiting for things to dry. If there's any questions, we are happy to answer those for you, painting related or not. But I hope everyone's having a nice time. Our classes are usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Okay, we have a question. Going over the orange tail and it's not covering, it's because it's not dry. Exactly, Donna. So with orange, it took me, you have to let it dry more. And then once it dries more, the second layer of paint will stick on it. So we have to be a little patient, letting that dry, especially when you're doing orange over green. So mine, I can actually still see a little bit, Donna, through. So don't worry, you haven't done anything wrong, I promise. And Ashley did post the YouTube class, the YouTube channel for all their classes. So many of their events are recorded at AARP New Hampshire. And I encourage you, you can subscribe for free, so there's no cost. And you can check out all of their past classes. And you can also check out a lot of my past classes that I've done with them as well. So again, not only resources, but many other events they've had. So I encourage you to subscribe. You'll get notifications when they post new things, which is really nice. Thank you, Ashley, for sharing that. So I am being patient. My cat is like 85% dry. I'm very proud of my not touching here. I've done a second coat on all of my little clovers. And I'm just going to do one more clover. I'm going to do a 4-leaf clover right in the middle. And that will be like my little lucky cat. So it's up to you if you want to do any overlaying clovers. I might do one more little clover down here. I love these little ones. It's such a cute accent. But I'm going to use my pencil because I don't trust myself with my brush. So 3 little hearts, little clover, and I think that'll be okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that'll be all right. But if you wanted to add anything else, you can always add other things. Who am I going to stripe his tail? Absolutely. I will absolutely stripe his tail. That is a great question. Thank you for asking. I wasn't going to, but I can. Absolutely. We should stripe our kitty's tails. Absolutely. My tail isn't the right color yet, but I'll embrace it for what it is. There's another little clover right here. That one came out kind of funny. If anybody's inspired to add like little white flowers even, like there's a lot of different things you can do. You can also add like a second color to your clovers, like a darker green or a lighter green. If we have time before the end of the class, we can play with that as well. I will add stripes to my cat's tail. This clover needs a little bit more paint. And again, I'm being patient with my cat, letting it dry. The second coat of paint really helps quite a bit with our colors popping out. Okay, and let me clean my brush. I'll grab my light orange for my tail striping. Thank you. And Jean shared that her cat has white from the face down on the chest. And how do I show the chin? Yes, Jean, we're going to outline of the head in just a moment. So great question. I'm going to add some stripes on the tail. So I'm just going to do very abstract kind of stripes. There, I added just some long. Maybe I'll make these a little bit bigger. The orange on my tail is not right, but I'll fix that after. I'm not too worried about it. So there's some stripes on the tail. Okay. So if anybody needs to make a line under the chin, one way to do that is you could use a red color. Just use a darker color of your cat. So if you have a gray cat, use black. If you have a cat orange like mine, you can use red or a dark orange to underline the chin. See how I underlined the chin there? I'm probably going to make it a little more orangey because it looks kind of funny. So like a dark orange is a better choice than red. But you see where we're going here. You can also add like a little bit of shading underneath the chin with like a red or a dark orange. So I'm adding a little bit of shading underneath the chin here, and I'm just going to kind of blend that right into the cat's body. So I added a little shading under the cat's chin. Oh, that's blue. I don't want blue on my cat. Let's see. So again, if you have a gray cat, use a dark gray to underline. Oh boy. Underline, I have to cover this up again. Underline the chin. And then you can bring that color down. There we go. See how it kind of created a little bit of shade on the underside of the cat? I used a more of a red color, but it's an orangey red. So you can kind of make a choice there. You can use the tip of your brush. It's just adding a little bit of shade in that area. If you wanted to put a little bit of that shaded like on the inside of the ear, you could do a little bit of that if you wanted to. If you don't like the way that looks, you don't have to. I always love being a guinea pig. Just showing you. I did a little bit of red on the inside of the ear. I don't think it needs it, so I might wipe it out. I don't really think I like it, but it's always fun to experiment. It's nice that you can always paint over things with acrylic. So if you don't like the red inside of the ear, I'm just going to paint over it. I prefer it to be all pink, but maybe a little bit of red is okay. So it's okay to make choices like that. If you want to do a little bit of, a little bit of a second color on the nose, you could do that. But the inspiration does have a little bit of outlining. So if you wanted to use, I think there's like maybe a brown. So let me just experiment here. If I mix green and red together, green and red will give me brown. If anybody wants to do like a darker outline around your pet, you can. Let's see what color this is. This is a lighter brown. Let's see. I'm just playing with my colors to see if I can make a brown. There's a lot of different ways to make brown. Brown is red, yellow, and blue all mixed together. a little bit more red. Any color you want to outline your pet is totally fine. It could be black, it could be white, it could be brown, it could be, you could just leave it the way it is. And I'll do my black whiskers. So I'm going to use, I have a little bit of this brownish red color. I'm just going to go around the whole cat's head with this just to see what it looks like. And I'll do my black whiskers again at the very end, just so they stand out amongst everything. So I'm doing a little bit of outlining, and I'll hold this up a little closer. I'll bring this down a little bit so you can see it. I did a little bit of an outline with a darker color. So if anybody likes that, I'm going to go around the whole cat's head with this color. And this is where our artwork really evolves, and it's really satisfying to appreciate all these details of our simple little cats. I'm using a small brush, so it's a nice fine point. I'm gonna go right around the chin that I just painted. See that? And it just stood out. And I can even outline the body if I wanted to. This is kind of like a purpley brown color. And this is gonna kind of connect and ground everything for me. And if I didn't like this, I could always paint over it. It's no big deal. So look, this side of the body, I'll show you guys. This side of the body has a purpley gray brown color on one side, and this side doesn't. So this side does, and the side by the tail does not. So I'm gonna just showing you a visual example. I'm gonna outline the body as well. See how the cat just stands out a little bit more? I outlined the head and the neck and everything. Stands out a little bit more. Looks great. You could outline the tail if you wanted to as well. I would. I love this. I have a black dog. How do I distinguish the legs and the face from the body? I would use a gray, a lighter color to have them stand out. Deborah. Patty, thank you so much. I'm so glad you love these classes. If anybody wants to share what they did tonight, we would love to hear that in the chat. We are always so grateful to have you. Always, always. I'm going to outline the tail so the tail stands out. It's always fun to see what happens. That's for sure. My cat it looks a lot better from where I started. And if anybody's done these classes before, I say it all the time. I said, just wait until the end of the class and see what happens. Some little bit of magic will happen. I'm still going to paint that 4-leaf clover on my kitty. But these are the details we can consider. Some of you added accessories to your pets. I added mini clovers, right? Isn't that cute? And then I'm going to add the 4-leaf clover. So I'm going to use my pencil. My cat is pretty dry. I'm going to put a 4-leaf clover right inside of my cat. So a 4-leaf clover has 4 hearts. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's cute. It's like a medium size. So I don't know if you can see it. I did draw it. I'm just going to paint it in so y'all can see it. I'm not going to use a Sharpie. I did it right here. It's like a little tattoo on my kitty. All right. I'm going to use this green paint that has white in it. So whatever you're painting on top of another color, try to add white to that so it stands out. And I probably will need a couple coats here. Now I could just paint this in white first. So actually, let me just pause and I'll do that. Because if you paint something in white, it makes it a lot easier to paint your other color on top of it. Especially in this instance, it's because we know it's going to be green. So it's really easy just to do a soft coat of white and then paint green on top of it after. I want to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Claudia. So good to see you. Mary, thank you so much for being here. And Miss Deborah and Patty, thank you, thank you. You all are so lovely. And I just want to say we would not be here tonight without the support of the AARP New Hampshire team. They believe in these classes and they know that you enjoy them and love them. So a big thank you, Marie. they know the value behind these creative classes. So thank you again to the AARP New Hampshire team. Be sure to follow their YouTube page, check out their resources. They do some amazing work for the community. The entire AARP community. All right. And be sure to check out those links. Ashley and Mary posted several resources and links to the upcoming classes. So I encourage you to check those out. This is my 4-leaf clover. I am painting it white and I'm going to do green after. And now you can see it. Isn't it funny how these things come together? My deranged cat came out okay at the end, didn't it? And I hope that you all enjoyed watching your pets come to life in today's class. Sandra, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We're so glad you're here with us. So I'm going to paint this whole clover white and then I'm going to paint over it with my green. If there's any questions, if anyone needs anything, if there's ever any questions about supplies or anything really, just consider me a resource for you. I'm happy to help out. Even if you have something funny that's going on with your painting, I'm happy to help you overcome this. Christine, thank you so much for being here. Ashley, thank you so much for sharing the YouTube channel with the group. Cheryl, thank you. Patricia, thank you, thank you. Carol, always wonderful to have you. So again, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to let things dry. But as an artist, you can decide how much or how little you do. Linda, always relaxing and enjoyable. Thank you, AARP. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you next month, Linda. All right. So I will hang out. I'm going to finish these whiskers and then we can wrap up with our recording. If anyone would like to refer back to our recording for any touch-ups, you're welcome to you'll have access to that shortly. So follow that YouTube space and you will be able to view this recording of tonight's class if you want to go back and refine any details or look at refer any of the comments that I had made. So I went ahead and went back over those whiskers. But Mary and Ashley, thank you again for being here and supporting our class's experience. We appreciate you and again for having us.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you to everyone who attended tonight. For your reference, there's links in the chat. If you ever have questions for us or for Megan, please feel free to reach out. All of the staff here at the office are always happy to help, whether it's related to painting or caregiving or any other social mission. So we hope you had fun tonight, and we hope you come to another one of Megan's fabulous classes.
Wonderful. Thank you all again. You are most welcome. Thank you, Carmelina and Chris. Thank you, Kay Moy.